You're slow.
All right. Hello. How's it going? I'm sorry. My wife texted me. Apparently, I had a total print failure in the house on my machine. I don't know if she stopped it or what. So I text her back. I'm like, stop it. So let me see if I can see what happened here. I've been printing Bigfoot things all day. And I guess maybe it's time to clean the plate. It's probably adhesion. It's the simple part that messed up. So it's probably adhesion. It's probably time to, I'm going to go with, I had a bit of a bad adhesion problem there, sir. It appears that, like second layer blues done struck again. So, we'll be fixing that here in a little while. Luckily, it wasn't very far along in the print, and it is the easy print. So there we go.
That is good. That's good.
So how is everybody? What's going on? Hello. Everybody have as much fun in the shop today as I have?
We're still on our roller coaster of weather. It was below freezing the other morning, and today... Now I've got the weather station thing. I got my little sensor in the shade on the north side of my house. So it's not like getting radiant heat. It's generally more of the actual air temperature. And I think that thing hit 84 degrees today. So
oh wow,
yeah. And then tomorrow there's some nasty weather coming through the area. So hopefully it's not too severe. Hopefully don't have too bad as straight line winds or tornadoes or anything, but we shall see.
Over here. Let me get down the bottom screen. I can see it a little better. Sitting here. That top monitor about driving me crazy. So I'm just going to go through the comments and see if anybody's here, with any questions or whatnot. Everybody, hello. If you're a first-time viewer, we appreciate you stopping by. If you're not, we still appreciate you. And you should know that. We really enjoy everybody participating in the live show. We try to be entertaining, answer questions, humor you, whatever the case may be. And of course, as always, you guys bring the content. So if it gets boring, ask a question, change the subject. It's that simple. Because we answer questions. So if you don't like the topic, ask your question, and that'll just, in the way that it works, that'll change the topic. So there you
go. As long as we keep up with the comments.
Yeah, as long as we keep up. Yeah, we do get a little behind on comments, but if you get left out, like we don't see your comment, post it again. Like put some exclamation points, some question marks, something to get our attention.
Yeah, don't spam it, but it's okay if it's been 15 minutes, maybe percolate it back up. But
because sometimes we do miss them. We do miss them because you guys are good to be talking to each other and stuff, and sometimes we just assume you're talking to someone else. But yeah, it's always a fun time though. Been working in the shop pretty good bit today. Chris said I found a good use for dead build plates, protector sheet for Galvo lasers. Yeah, I don't know how I guess it would work, but that the PEI, you hit that with a 60 watt MOPA, it's probably coming off of there. I haven't never tried, but I'm pretty sure it was probably coming off of there. But yeah, I've been doing lots of printing since I got my new printer over there. I wish I can't do it right now anyway, but I wish I had pulled to see how many hours of printing I've done so far. And I think you can pull it up and it'll tell you how many hours it's printed. But
yeah,
I do need to pull it because I know it's a lot. Because like that thing's been running every day since I got it on something. I did the fan upgrade for it. I don't know that I needed it because I'm not exhausting it necessarily. But I got to doing some research and some viewing into it, and it did say that one of the benefits is that with the P1S you had to like take the top off, open the door or whatever in order to print like PLA because it would get too hot. Well, with this machine, it does kind of regulate the temperature of the chamber a little better, but some of the research that I read was basically saying that if you added this fan, it could assist in cooling the chamber for those other filaments like PLA and stuff. So it was $20 for the kit. I'm guessing that's a limited time offer, but it was $20 for all the electronics, and then you had to print the chassis and put it together. It was a bunch of little tiny pieces. I was really rethinking it about halfway through it because the pieces were tiny, and I was having to use my fingertips to put them together. But I managed to get the fan put together and put it on there, and you had to enable it in the software. But it comes with an optional, like you can put an exhaust filter on it, you can put an exhaust hose on it. But currently, I am just using it just to exhaust into the room because, like I said, it's not like I'm in my house. There's plenty of other stuff in here to like vent it out or whatever. But yeah, so far it's working good. So Papa's Woodworking says, I have a light burn question, if I may. And hey, throw it in there. Like I said, we'll get to it in a second, hopefully. So what you been up to besides making puppy trays?
Well, for those who missed it yesterday, I've been working on the Creality Falcon A1 Pro and wanted to do something a little bit bigger. But
Brady said that was cute, by the way.
Well, I mean, it is,
cute.
It is. So I to save time, I went diving into Creative Fabrica and looked at their laser file section, and this came up in the feed. Now it's meant for 6mm material, so I scaled it down for the 1/8 inch or 3mm true flat, and so it's about half the size it should be, and it worked out pretty well. I've got the cherry, maple, black, and then I used the white, and then just painted the tongue pink there with the acrylic markers. And so that was kind of the example of making this a little bit bigger project on the Falcon A1 Pro. So it'll be part of my review. The summary of it will be there. I was thinking about doing a video, but then I was like, hey, let's just go live and hang out with people while I do this. So did that yesterday, and we talked a little bit about workshop stuff and glues and everything else that goes along with that. So kind of had fun with that. But yeah, I've been trying to finish up the testing on there. I've been doing a few other materials just to see. I mean, it's your typical 20-watt blue diode laser. Nothing. I mean, it's working well. Nothing like surprised me, good or bad. Is kind of the summary of it. I was pleasantly happy with the air assist. It seems to be doing a good job keeping things clean, even though it's just kind of those small air pumps. For this size laser, and their nozzle seems to be balanced pretty well. So I'll be trying to finish that up here. I'd like to get it. Well, I have to be on the road Wednesday through Friday this week for work. So I'm hoping to get it done before I leave. And then when I get back, I'll have to see what I can get done next weekend. But other than that, I mentioned last week that I'd got the IKEA Master in. It sat in customs for 6, 7, almost 2 months. It was 6 to 8 weeks. And unfortunately, something happened in transit. So we're troubleshooting some of the issues that I might be seeing there. So I did get it working enough to just make sure that things are functioning, but the control pad on it is being a little funky, and it may just have been mishandled in shipping. So I'm working with them on that. So unfortunately, that's going to be a little delayed as far as testing it out and giving any feedback on there. So more to come on that as I get it back to factory specs with hardware and everything. So but yeah, other than that, just some typical work and such. Haven't done a whole lot more. I am planning on a few more projects. I've got some honeydew lists that I'm going to try to work on with maybe work in some CNC content, and I got some laser things I got going on my own. And then, if you follow me on my Facebook page, I drop a few kind of behind the scenes things there. So on my work from home days, I've been playing around with printing out more of those little things, chunkable characters. So this last one was Frodo from Lord of the Rings, and had fun with that one. Since I have the multiple printers, I can usually queue up all the stuff and throughout the day just have the parts ready to go by that evening. So I'm playing around with that a little bit, along with some functional prints. I did find it's a stand that fits the X-Tool F1 and the RA2. So it's a 3D printed file. It's out there on Maker World. And so I thought, hey, let's give this a shot, see how that works. Interestingly enough, it doesn't fit the F2. The bracket or the base plate for the F2 is like 2 mil deeper front to back, and they're not, at least mine are.
I'd have to. I know my Bigfoot fits either or.
Well, front to back, my F2 is deeper than my F1 by just a couple mil. So.
Huh. I don't know. Now, trust me, it doesn't surprise me because, like I said, I found some things like the RA3. There's a couple of different lengths of the base piece of the RA3. So there are anomalies out there. But
yep.
Yeah, well, like my Bigfoot, I used it with the F2 and the F1 that I had, and it may be that I don't recall if maybe maybe it's I don't know, but that's odd. Yeah, I saw your video, and I was thinking when I saw that, I was like, strange.
Yeah, so front to back, for some reason, it doesn't fit in there. Side to side, they're fine, but front to back, it's bigger. Something's causing it to protrude. So I'm probably going to adjust that file and print out the plate for the F2 so it fits mine, and we'll do some playing there. But trying to find I'm trying to find a number of these 3D printed things that I've not have to develop, but that are out there for free for people that maybe I can recommend too. So,
yeah. Jeffrey Stone 5630 is saying, does IR on the F1 Ultra mark two-toned acrylic well? By two-toned, if you mean like layered acrylic, like black over white or whatever, to where you actually have to move through one layer to get to another layer, my experience has been that IR is not great for acrylic. It ends up melting everything. Now, if you're just wanting to mark it and black acrylic, make it look white, the IR does a pretty good job of. But if you start trying to physically remove material with an IR, it tends to get a little melty. I'm not saying you can't do it, but it does have a tendency to get melty. That's my experience. What about you, Steve?
Yeah, I've never tried that with the two-toned acrylic. Because generally the IR,
the Lone Star is what I'm basing my opinion on. It's the blue seems to do better than the IR.
Right. The IR is better at kind of like, those lower wattage. It's better at just kind of changing, frosting or changing the properties, not so much for depth. So, but I mean, that being said, I haven't tried it. So we'll have to maybe give that a shot. But I would, if you've got the F1.
Okay, he's saying, he's just wanting to mark it, assuming the diode will remove. Yeah, the IR with the appropriate settings, you can do like a white. I think me and you both have done videos on it. You can do like a white engrave on acrylics as well as most plastics and stuff.
The more opaque ones, anyway.
Like I use or have used. That's on a power supply, just plastic. Now, don't breathe the fumes off this because it's more than likely ABS or whatever. But that was done with. Matter of fact, I think it was done with the Ultra. But yeah, so you can mark plastics with an IR, but you got to go really fast. If you go too slow, it's going to get melty because IR will throw some heat. And I know I've got videos, and I'm pretty sure you do too, of us marking like 3D printed parts and stuff like that with like the F1 or the Lumos or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've got a couple out there with like the 20 watt the com marker, which is basically the same as the F1 Ultra. But yeah, I might put the F1 Ultra. I've had it off the bench because I was trying to help troubleshoot some things with the OhmTech Solus for people. But I may have to get the Ultra back on the bench for some of that.
Yeah. What's up, Ryan? How are you, sir? Ballard Designs in the house. All right, Papa's Woodworking. This is a question he had, I guess. Says, if I have multiple objects on the page and only one in the workspace, why does my laser try to frame all of them? Frame all of it and runs into the rails. I do have ignore items not in workspace on. If it's outside the workspace, it shouldn't do that. What version of Lightburn are you running? Because I do that all the time. Like I build out, I'll be building outside the work area while I'm burning inside the work area. So,
yeah, I mean, also make sure you're in absolute coordinates.
Yeah, that would cause it if he's running your position.
Yeah, if you're doing it from relative position or current position, it's going to kind of ignore your bounds, and if your object's taking up the bulk of it. Yeah, but yeah, as long as it's out. The other thing you can do is, you can turn the output off on the other layers.
Yeah, I bet he's got it in. I bet he's in current position or user origin. I bet that's it because that's the only thing that makes sense. But check that and see. But yeah, I think Steve hit that one on the head because I didn't think about that. But if you're in current position, it ignores everything except limit switches, hard limits. So cool. Gray Viking is saying, Clack, I had my P2S for almost a year and I've loved it until now. It keeps stopping saying extruder is plugged or overheating. I've taken it apart several times and do not see any issues. Have you tried putting a new nozzle on it? Swap and play musical nozzles, maybe? I don't know. All the reviews I've seen and everything that about it, I haven't had any issues. I've only had a couple of like minor hiccups with prints, and that was because I was getting a little cocky with not using supports, because I've learned that I can get away with some stuff without supports with this one, the way that it cools and everything, but I got a little carried away trying to span too big of a gap without supports and cause some issues. But yeah, I don't know.
Says he's replaced the nozzle with a brand new one, so.
Curious to see what's causing that.
Yeah, I mean, usually they're pretty good about when the printer throws an error, they usually link to a help article on how to resolve it. And that would have been my first thing, was just clean or replace the nozzle. I wonder if the recalibrating the filament for flow and such would make a difference. But
it says it's plugged or overheat. It stop saying the extruder is plugged or overheating. Huh. I mean, unless there's like a heat sensor in there somewhere, it might be going bad.
And that could be. I mean, on some of the older ones, like on my Ender 3 and such, I had to replace some of the thermistors and the sent thermal probes because they you could watch the graph. It would like spike all of a sudden. There's no way it was jumping like that. So if they start reading bad, it could be that. But
yeah.
That's a little, yeah. That's one of the frustrating things with some of these is that when they work until they don't. And I've on the P1S, I dug into that head at one point when I was dealing with an issue, and some of that stuff, some of those wires are tucked in really tight. So
Yeah.
they're not always fun to work with, but haven't run into that one, so not sure what.
Yeah, I hadn't. Like I said, and even in all of my travels through the internet researching these printers, I haven't heard of any, complaints of that being like common. I'm not saying that nobody else has had it happen, but I didn't see where everybody was saying, hey, this is a common thing with it. The few complaints that I saw were things that either you can fix with a 3D print if you wanted to, or just cosmetic stuff and just user experience type stuff, as far as like the door doesn't open but so far. It's further than the P1S opened, but it doesn't open but like I think it's 120 something degrees as opposed to like 115 from the P1S. But and I agree, it is kind of odd that you can't like open the door further, but I guess maybe they did that to keep it from swinging back and breaking itself. I don't know. But it doesn't open up all the way. You would think it would open like a refrigerator door where you could just fold it all the way back.
I don't know. I guess I haven't. It hasn't bothered me to the point where I noticed that it doesn't.
Yeah, mine. It depends on how you have it positioned. I think I was getting something out of a drawer underneath it the other day, and I was working because I've got my tools in that first drawer, my scraper and stuff. And that was the first time I had a problem. I'm like, well, I can't push it no further because I'll be broke the door. But yeah, but a lot of people were complaining about it, but I think it's got to do with where your printer is and how you have to get to it. Like if you had to come in from the left side and get things in and out because it was in the corner, I guess it would be more of an issue than if it was on the left corner, you wouldn't notice it because your angle of approach is going to be different. But to me, it's just not a big deal. I love it. I love it so far. Robert's asking, do you guys know how to put Creality Cloud on my PC, my Windows 11, so I can use it with my K2 Plus? I haven't used Creality software in a long time, so I personally have no experience with it. Like my Ender, when I had the Ender, I used Creality software, but that's been a while.
Yeah, I haven't used that, so I haven't had to try.
Yeah.
Let's see, what do they have here?
Seth says he also learned the change in temp the shop can affect the mirror alignment on a CO2. That'd be a pretty severe temperature change unless it's got 3D printed parts holding it together. If all your mirror stuff is on metal, it should not change unless it's an extreme temperature fluctuation.
Well, depending on what I mean, we just had an extreme shift here. So,
I mean, it can happen because metal does contract and expand, but it have to be a pretty big swing typically.
Yeah. The Creality Cloud app, it looks like it's for mobile. So Android and
mobile only. I mean, I guess maybe you could run
you have to run an emulator of some sort.
Yeah, an emulator on your computer and do it that way, but seems like you could just grab an extra like Android pad or tablet or a phone or something and just use it for that.
I mean, it looks like you can log in. I don't know if you can connect to your devices from there, so maybe you can just use the web interface, but I don't have anything that works with it, so I don't know.
Tim Arthur said, good to know. I wasn't aware the fan upgrade was needed to print with PLA. I don't know that it's needed, Tim. They've done some magic with the fan inside there that it can print with the door closed. But some of the people have said that they feel that it helped with managing the temperature. But according to Bamboo Labs, you do not have to open the door on the P2S to print with PLA. That's their thing. But this does have the ability that you can set it up to basically when the print is done, the fan will cut on and it will purge the air from the chamber and like cool the part down and all that kind of thing. So there's some benefits to it, but you don't have to have it to do PLA. See, I didn't know you had to open the door on the P1S. I didn't know that was a thing, but they said you had to either have a door or a spacer or whatever to do PLA on the P1S without having overheating issues or curling.
Yeah, they don't like to overheat. I mean, that's kind of true on any enclosed 3D printer. You want to have that airflow through so it doesn't build up. Having the lid off of it really helps. So I just crack mine open. I don't leave the door like straight out. I just have.
Yeah, I had went back and saw where there's a lot of people that were using the P1S with PLA that they did that. They just kind of left it propped open a little bit, and yep. I guess it done okay.
Yep.
But yeah. Chuck said you did a good job of gluing your fingers to the dog.
Yeah, I only got one little bit of glue on my fingers doing that whole thing yesterday, so that's impressive. Usually when we're working with CA glue, it's I mean, back in the days when I would build a lot of model airplanes, and you know, I was a younger kid and wasn't as careful. I'd have glue all over my fingers. I'd literally have to take like sandpaper to.
Yeah, because you got to wear it off once it gets in there.
Yeah. So.
Scott says, when you going to do a video with the Eufy E1? It's coming. I got slammed the past couple of weeks with orders and stuff that's been going on. Between orders and taking kids to the doctor and dentist trips and meetings and all that, it's been very busy. So I haven't got to it yet. I had been using the 3D scanner that I just did the video with, learning that, because I'm having to learn new disciplines when I get some of these machines and stuff in. Like the Eufy, I'm having to learn how to use it. Like I'm watching a lot of videos and seeing what people are doing. Even designing myself a little system. This is just a corner of it, but I'm designing myself a little system to make it easier to where I can A, keep from spraying my bed colors, and B, so that I can create little like templates and stuff like that. So I've been working on that. That's what's printing over there is the whole thing. This was just like the test corner, because these were the angles that I was like just wanting to make sure that my measurements were right. And so I printed like the corner that slides on the little bed. But so I've been working on that. But that's this week. I'm going to be doing some Eufy stuff. I've got some cardstock, some canvas. I've got some acrylic ideas. I've got all kinds of stuff that I want to play with on it. But I'm having to watch a lot of people's videos. I've watched, I think, every video Steve has on the Eufy. Some of them that I'd already watched, but I wasn't really watching from the perspective of learning the machine then. So I went back and rewatched them. I watched a lot of Sam's. I watched just like all the folks that I know. I've watched a lot of their videos to try to figure out, you know, best practices and you know, when to put this color and when to do because it's a whole nother science. Like this is not, it's not lasers. It's not even 3D printing. It's like a whole nother thing. This is kind of inkjet printing meets 3D printing. Like it's kind of a new science that I'm having to learn.
Yeah. Well, and the good news is they've finished production of all the Kickstarter orders. I don't know if they're counting that. They also took some pre-order orders. So they are catching up with their machine production. And hopefully they're getting caught up on their ink production as well, because that's kind of the new thing is everybody's getting their printers and they want more ink. So hopefully they're getting caught up on that. So yeah, I'm hoping to get mine back into the kind of the loop of things as well, because I've got some projects too that be kind of fun to test out and or share, but just with I've held off on creating a lot of content with it over the past few months just because the Kickstarter backers and I mean, I understand some of it, but they were getting very toxic and frustrated with the delays and such. So I just didn't want to put stuff out there and have half people think it's cool and have people upset that
You didn't want to be cannon fodder for them.
I didn't really. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to do a little bit more with that now that hopefully it's a little more available and whatnot. So.
The Oily Crafter is asking, good evening. Can you point me to a video on how to replace a F1 original lens? Apparently had a scratch on mine. Also need to buy a source to buy one. I have no idea. That's going to be a more than likely that's going to be an X tool thing. Because they're not like typical Galvo lenses. Like the F1 lens is significantly smaller than any of the other like Galvos. So I'm going to guess that they would probably have to send you out the parts. And even because I've never seen a video of anybody replacing a lens on one.
No. And I'm wondering if they'll even sell you a replacement.
Yeah, they might make you send it back and have them do it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, if it's an original F1, by the time you did all that, you might be better off just to buy F1 Lite or something and move on, you know. That's tough. Lens got scratched.
Well,
like a lot of your typical Galvos, like the Omtex and the Monports and stuff like that, you can go on a lot of these websites and purchase those lenses. But when you start talking about some of the specialized little machines like that, you're not as likely to be able to just pick one of those up somewhere. Now, there's a chance you can find somebody that's got one that's like got lightning struck or something, and maybe you could snag it on, Marketplace or something and just do it yourself if you're mechanically inclined enough.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long they let you add it, but there is X tool care that you can add to some of the lasers. For the F1, it's $170 and extends the warranty another year. You might have I don't know if there's a certain window from purchase that you have to add that.
Yeah, that might be one of those things that you have to. It has to be under warranty when you add warranty to it or something.
Right. I'm not seeing that on their page, but yeah, that's most Galvo, standard Galvo lasers. They have just a screw-in lens, but I'm not sure on the F1 how self-serviceable it is.
Yeah, I saw where somebody said it screws in similar to the other ones, but it's smaller. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure it'll screw in and screw out, but it may not be difficult to swap. It's just a matter of finding the part. Mark says, I watched a lot of Steve Solo live streams today on the big screen with a 36-inch tall Steve headshot. I really see the resemblance to Sasquatch. Yeah, he does. He like when you go places with him in public too. Like he just walks around grunting.
It's only when people don't. I don't like how people walk especially at events or like at shopping centers and such. If people drove the way they.
Oh yeah, that's one of Steve's pet peeves. Is like if you're gonna walk, you need to walk like you're on a mission.
Well,
you can't be nilly-dilly and looking at the scenery, taking pictures.
Well, people just like stop and then they'll block the whole walkway, and you're like, "This is like a hallway. This is like a highway. Move to the side of the road. Move to the side of the hallway.
If you have a crash, move to the shoulder.
Don't walk staring at your phone." Yeah,
I heard every time we go somewhere, it's funny, guys, because like we're always in these like touristy locations where everybody's like stopping and taking pictures and all that, and Steve's just like, like could you just like not stop in the middle of the path? But I mean, I agree, it is disruptive though. It is disruptive, but you kind of when you go to these touristy places, that happens.
Oh well, but yeah, this. I don't know. It really frustrates me, especially, okay, like the unwritten rule of walking on a hallway, you still kind of stay to the right. I mean, maybe in like England, you stay to the left. I don't know. They're always on the opposite side of the road, but I've been in situations where you've met me. I'm not a small guy. So I'm walking maybe with myself and someone else that's maybe of similar stature. And these people are just taking up the whole hallway and they're not like moving over. And I'm like, I'm going to win this battle. You might want to move. It's just...
Yeah. Oh, Jeffrey Stone says one more. I have Samcraft 6 business card jig, but if I try to load more than 4, it won't run the job. I've cleared the cache and I'm up to date. Thoughts? It sounds like maybe you're outside the work area, maybe because that shouldn't be like 6 business cards instead of 4 should not be overloading anything. Trust me, I have throwed, as far as Lightburn goes, I have throwed plenty of really, really fine details at Lightburn. That's not likely your issue. You may have a corner of one of them that's outside the work area but it should tell you that you have something outside the work area.
Yeah, I'd be curious what it's doing when you say it won't run the job.
Yeah.
Because I know, I assume you're using like the F1 Ultra or the F2 Ultra or something like that. I've run that on the F1 Ultra with 6, and now I mean maybe there's I mean I don't know your design, if it has some sort of really high resolution photo or something on there, and maybe it's having trouble transferring the data. I guess if it is, I guess it's going to help to know which laser and what's
earlier. It was Lightburn. He's the one that had the Lightburn question, right? Jeffrey Stone. I thought he had.
No, that was Papa's working.
Okay, never mind.
But yeah. Depending on the software and the connection style, like if you're using an X-Tool device, maybe try swapping between. I mean, if it's not sending or airing out, maybe try putting it into Wi-Fi if you're connected via USB or vice versa. But
yeah, Greg Wilson says if I open a Lightburn project from using Lightburn opens in the workspace, but if I want to add something to the same project, doing again from another folder, it asks if I want to save it. That's probably because you're doing open instead of import. If you have a job open and you want to bring another job into that job and like use it as an asset for that job, you need to use import and not open. Because if you use open, it's basically what it's doing is it's trying to get you to save the one that you're in, because it's going to close that one and it's going to open the other one. So instead of using the open function for that second part, use import and it'll snatch it right in there. Because I do that a lot with because I've got some, like if I'm working on a job and somebody's like, oh, I want this font, and they pick out a picture that I use like where I did somebody else's job or whatever, I'll actually import that job in to just to easily be able to copy the font or whatever, instead of having to hunt for the name of the font and all that kind of stuff. So I use the import function often, but that's what that is. You can't open 2 files at the same time. You can open a file and import another file as an objective or an object inside that file, but you can't open 2 files at one time. This is a language thing, but yeah.
Yep. Let's see.
Yeah, Chris is saying maybe it's overscanning going outside the work area, maybe. And that's possible. I mean, maybe slow the speed down and see if it changes it. Because I have had some jobs before that it wouldn't let me run them at like 400 millimeters a second, but it would let me run them at like 200 because the overscan had me going outside the work area. I don't remember what software that was on, though. So.
Sharon's asking, can anyone suggest a good video to learn how to create a non-AMS file from a file that's created for AMS or single color print? So depending on what you're working with, generally the AMS ones, they're a solid piece, but they're painted the colors that it needs to change. And so you would have to kind of break up those parts and figure out how you're going to rejoin them. If you want to, I mean, you can use the paint tool within the slicer to make it all a solid color. You can just kind of select all and change the filament too, I believe. So just kind of depends on the file that's specifically. But if you're wanting to break it up into different parts to still have multiple color, that's going to be a lot of 3D modeling on a lot of those, because generally they're just one solid.
It's usually a solid object painted instead of like several objects put together. Yeah, that would be complicated. Yeah, Tim says the price is right for the P2S, the ability to do ABS, and the speed improvement is a big sale. That is one thing I will say is you can do if you're okay with a 256 bed and you want to do all the materials, the P2S is awesome. I've been printing with a lot of ABS and haven't had any problems with it. One more thing that I will say too about getting the combo, if you get the combo, even if you already have an AMS, if you don't have the new AMS, the new one, it's a dryer too. Now I haven't tested it, and somebody can correct me if this is wrong, but I saw in one of the groups, I saw a post where they said that this last firmware update for the P2S, you can now dry and print at the same time, where you used to, you had to do one or the other. I have saw a post saying that they patched that in the last firmware, and now you can dry as you're printing. But the way I've got mine set up, I got mine slam full of desiccant. And so I dried it the other day and pulled it down to like 6%. And I don't know where it's at now, but it's been running about 8 to 10. So I'm at like 9% right now. And I added a roll of PLA earlier that I had vacuum sealed. And so it's only at 9% humidity inside the AMS, and I haven't ran the drying function this week. Like it's been staying, the moisture's been staying good. I haven't messed with it because it's sealed up pretty nice. Like the way they built it, it's sealed pretty well, and it's not letting a lot of moisture in there.
Do you have the secondary power cord for the AMS though? I think that's required for
is it?
Doing both because of the power draw.
Because of the over consumption. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just saw a post where they said they fixed it and you can do it. And one guy was saying, I did it last night and it works. I haven't tried it, so I don't know. But yeah, I know that was the concern, was that the output of the power supply wasn't enough to run both at the same time. BRB.
Jim C31 is asking, what do you think about people refilling the E1 ink cartridges? Well, I mean, a couple things is that the stock cartridges have kind of their expiry date coded into them. So the software at this point will still stop you from reusing an old cartridge past that expiry date. I'm sure someone's going to figure out flashing that. The whole premise of the E1 was to make it more user-friendly and a little bit safer to use in kind of a non-industrial environment, and cracking open those cartridges probably is somewhat negating that. So I guess at that point, I would probably just look at a printer that's meant to do that. They are still working on their larger ink wells and such. I would love if they had some sort of like recycling program where you could send in the cartridges. Because that's the other part of it, is that ink is, you got to kind of treat it as hazardous waste. You really shouldn't just toss it. And so if they could repurpose the cartridges, reload them, and maybe deal with the ink, that would be great. HP's done that for a while, where they send a shipping label with their toner cartridges and such, and you ship it back to them to recycle it. But I mean, I get that people are trying to save money and they're trying to make the ink more, have options for it. But for me, the whole point of the E1 was to take a technology that has a lot of headache and hassle, There's risks with dealing with the UV ink and resin. It's not something you want to get on your skin. It's not something you want to breathe a lot of the VOCs. And so now dealing with open ink cartridges and filling them up and resealing them, to me, it kind of takes away some of the point of why you would buy this model. And so,
Yeah.
I mean,
there's other machines out there that already take just whatever kind of ink, right?
But those are the ones, like I say, that they were trying to make this more consumer friendly and not necessarily something where you need to glove up and make sure that you're
you gotta have a hazmat suit.
It's just it's something that I would be very leery to do myself also, just because those print heads aren't cheap. And if they dig into why your printer's having problems and they go, well, you've used improper ink, then that's a $600, that print head is $600. So I don't know. I get it. The ink's not cheap compared to it, but I think what you're buying into is kind of convenience and ease of use. And generally the penalty for that is cost.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, I kind of agree with you on that. The purpose of this machine was to be like an ecosystem to where you don't have to worry about all that stuff, and it's as simple as pop this off, pop this in, and you're done. You don't have to glove up, and you don't have to, like you said, be worried about disposing of this or disposing of that or whatever. And from a manufacturer of the machine's perspective, like you said, if you control what goes into your machine, as far as the viscosity of the inks and the drying cure times of the inks and all these different things, you can build that into your system so that it maintains itself. If you put something in there that's not up to their standards, their cleaning regimen might not work properly on it or something. Like you said, now all of a sudden you've ruined your print head. So I mean, to me, if the concern is that having to buy the ink is a concern for you, then like I said, look at other options. I mean, there's other companies coming out with them as well. But
well, and it's not a new technology. It's just new, trying to bring it to smaller scale, portable,
small form factor.
That kind of thing. And so I just look at it. This isn't me trying to hack a $200 laser to see what I can do with it. This is a couple grand plus to buy the machine. And I get it. The ink is expensive. And so unless you're doing a lot of the 3D stuff, the ink does tend to, you can get a lot of use out of it. Hopefully, if you're doing it for profit, you're going to make that back. But I don't know. I get a little, with a lot of expensive parts on this that make it work. Myself, I would be a little leery in doing it. Now, other people that are more well-versed in the technology and these printers, maybe they're more comfortable with it, but I don't know. You're definitely going to need to be willing to probably void your warranty and do some tinkering and take some of that risk on if you do it.
Yeah, that's kind of like me with my truck. I like a little bit of rumble in the exhaust, but that's not something I'm willing to do as long as that truck still got warranty time left on it. You know what I mean? Because if you as you change something and you void the warranty, they're gonna be like, hey, if you hadn't have done this wouldn't have happened, so the warranty doesn't cover it. So yeah, you start tweaking with things. There's associated risks.
Yeah, and almost needing a clean room to do it. between the sawdust out here, the pet fur inside, all those other things, I'm lucky that I keep the printer itself.
I was fixing to say, if mine continues to operate, that's going to be like a big thing because, like, it's dusty. Like, I mean, I got layers of dust on there. Look at that dust. And I just yesterday wiped everything down. I changed out the filter in my little dust separator up here. I cleaned out my air conditioner. Like because I did stove covers this weekend, and that generates a lot of dust. But yeah, if it continues to work in my shop, I'll be impressed. Got a new viewer in the room tonight.
Sorry, I clicked over yours. I was just chuckling at this one. This is in in response to our earlier conversation and me saying, get out of the way. Let me tell you something. There's a thing called Minnesota nice or Midwest nice. And while it couldn't come across as, we're nice, cheery, happy people, it's more about our passive aggressiveness mixed with my Gen X sarcasm. So
Oh, he is a hoot in large crowds. Let me go ahead and tell you guys.
well, especially and Clack's seen me.
If you get him hungry and get his, like, he wore the wrong shoes that day and he is a peach to be around.
Hey, now I'm not that bad. I just get really motivated to get out of there. Or I'm like, I need to go.
And the thing is too, is I'm like gasoline on a fire when he starts getting that way. Cause I seem to always find that right button to where, he's just like, oh, it's funny. It's funny. Oh, anyway. Yeah. It's y'all. I really want to make next time we go to a big event, I really need to do like some hidden camera, like, Steve in public type stuff, like the side of Steve nobody sees. Man, that would be a good video. But anyway, we got a new viewer in the house. I guess new viewer, and I don't guess I've ever saw her comment. But Chip Builds, if y'all aren't familiar, I think she's got a lot of different lasers and the Eufy as well. I couldn't remember exactly, but I'm not sure if she's talking about. She said she just received everything except the materials. I don't know. I'm guessing maybe I missed something or talking about the Eufy maybe. So I don't know, but yeah, there you go. We got a professional in the house with us.
Jared Lyon is commenting, I received my 2 Eufy E1s I bought during the Kickstarter. They sent me 4 boxes of ink sets, all say 7/26 expiration. Hardly fair to send 4 boxes of inks with short-term expiration. Yeah, I've heard some conflicting things, but and I know they need to kind of work through it. I think their stance is they want it to be fully expired, but they will work with you on it and hopefully replace some of it if you don't get to it. Because I would hope they realize that, yeah, I mean, as much delay they've had, it'd be one thing if you got the printer in, September, October last year and you had 9 months to deal with it. But now that you have, 3 or 2.5, 3 months, now that being said, you can go through a lot of ink if you start playing around with the 3D stuff or you really get rolling with it. But you'd be hard pressed to move through 4 boxes in 3 months at kind of a
typical. Be printing some stuff out. Well, and wasn't there some discussion that maybe that it's not actually expiring? That's just kind of like the best buy.
No, so the cartridges themselves have an expiration. Now, what's labeled on them doesn't always match what's chipped in them. But the software does block you out, and
what I'm saying is they could,
but no, where it is right now. I'm just saying, where it is right now, is when the chip says the ink is expired, it forces you to replace it.
So it won't run
at all. It was like, nope, you have to replace this cartridge.
Yeah, and see, and I think that's something that, like you said, they either need to make it right by re-upping the ones that are expired or expire, or fixing it if it's possible. If there's not like detriment to the machine, just have it to where like we've talked about in the past, where it says, hey, this one's technically expired, but you can use it until like this date. Kind of give you an extension. If it's not a matter of it's just going to destroy the machine. So
yeah. So
Jim's asking, do you think there might be an Tank style add-on? And I saw somebody's video where they were talking about they thought there was one.
They're working on larger. I think they're working on larger cartridges that'll work, but I don't think they're going to do like a fillable tank style. I thought I saw somewhere where they were really leaning into trying to have it be more of a closed system where you're not handling raw ink, and the concern with that. So I haven't heard anything that tells me that they're looking at that. They are. The last I heard is they're still working on the larger ink system, and they're hoping to have it out maybe at least to beta test or possibly released sometime in Q2. So we just started that. So maybe by July, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to get through these comments, guys, but there's so many. So I may just have to push to the end and y'all can put them back if we need to.
Norbert's asking, does anyone have any pros, cons on OhmTech CO2 lasers? I have a potential line on a unit, no size or power info, where the person who got it typically goes all in on things and said it to be large. So, I mean, OhmTech is one of many that have kind of a similar Ruida style laser. And they kind of put their own specs and maybe paint and a few things to it, but they're pretty much a standard laser. Now, some of their newer ones are changing a little bit more, having maybe a little more customized features, but depending on its age, it's probably a fairly typical CO2 laser with typical parts, so that if you do have maybe an issue with something, it's not like you have to go to them specifically to get their parts. You could go to Cloud Ray, you could go to some of these other places and get aftermarket parts. They're going to drop right in. So I've had decent luck with all of my CO2 based lasers from them. And been pretty happy with them as far as kind of in the more of the budget friendly lasers. Now, support is going to be what it is. They do have some US based people, but a lot of their support's probably going to be based out of, Asia and such. And to get outside of that, you're going to be paying stupid money, but just kind of go into it knowing that you're not buying a business grade machine with technicians that are on standby ready to fly out to your shop and fix things up for you. So
yeah, but you're also not spending that much money either. So.
Yeah, you're also not spending that money. So but I've been fairly happy with them for the most part.
Yeah, I've got the OhmTech Polar Plus, and it does a good job. My buddy Bill's got it at his shop right now because I put the P2 back up here. It's been doing a good job for me for a long time. The only gripe that I had was the one that I had didn't have the red dot, so I had to add it. That was an aftermarket add-on, but other than that, it runs good, does a good job. Seth saying, looking for a larger, faster diode device. Currently have a longer B1, 40 watt with extended bed. Does a good job, but slow. Looking for faster. Diode burns with nice color. Tried CO2, not the same. The bigger machines like that, I mean, to be honest with you, the longer B1's pretty quick for a diode. Like it's faster than my atom stack. This is one of the complaints that I have right now, where I have been searching high and low, trying to find a machine to move. I want at least a 60 or a 70 watt machine that is the size of my X40 Max or slightly bigger, and nobody makes it. And everybody that wants to, like Atom Stack has gotten this thing to where they're wanting to make all their machines square now. I don't want a square machine. I want a rectangular machine. If you took the A70 Pro and the A70 Max, and you took like the Y-axis off of the Pro and put it on the X-axis of the Max, that's what I want. I want a 500 by 850 work area, and nobody wants to build one. So if you work for a laser company and you'd like to build one and maybe even paint the thing orange, let me know and I'll promote it for you and put it right over here as long as it works good. Because my X40, although it is a great machine, I've gotten a little spoiled using the 70 watt for cutting stuff, and I want a little bit faster cut speed on the machine. I don't really want to go to a CO2 for a lot of the stuff that I do. Like Seth's saying, I like the burn that I get from a blue diode, but it's to the point to where in order to get a larger work area, I'm going to end up having to go to a CO2 if somebody doesn't make one. I've even considered just buying extrusions and steppers and taking the controller out of one of these machines and building it myself, but that's a lot of headache. So I would love to be able to find one. I've looked at Laser Tree. I've looked at Ortur. I've looked at Niji. I've looked at Atom Stack. Longer, I guess I could reach out and see what they've got now, but everybody's going to these big square machines like the Glacier size machines, and it's too big for what I need, and I'm pretty sure it's too big for like 90% of the population's needs. I think there's a big market that's not being tapped because just like Seth's saying, he's looking for a machine that's comparable to a B140 extended, but you can't find one over 40 watts right now that's not 850 by 850 or 1,000 by 1,000. I mean, they think square is better. I don't know why.
Yeah, the going bigger and faster is going to be your hard point. If you want faster engraves right now, I think the Alien Cell is hard to beat for their acceleration speed, but that limits you to what, 24 by 8? Is it 18?
18, I think.
Which is a decent size, but it's not, extended B1 size. So depending on how much of that you're using, a cell laser is going to be. The cell laser is going to be pretty fast too. We got a preview of that at CES. So that kind of combines gantry and galvo. But it's not been out in the wild yet. So I guess we'll see where that lands. Those are the two, as far as
it's still in the zoo right now.
if you're looking for a faster diode, those are the two I guess I would be watching right now. And the Alien Cell, each of us have one, and other people have had them. They're out in the wild. That you can kind of verify the findings there. The cell laser, it's pretty much just been Michael over at Laser Engraving 901 kind of did, I would call, a controlled test in their offices, and they've been starting to show more of it. But again, they're doing the same pre-programmed engravings at the event. So I'm waiting to see someone walk up to them with an image or something and say, "Here, do this now." We haven't been able to see that.
Yeah. $3 custom engraving says, do you guys have any thoughts on the Alien Cell air purifier? This kind of led into the comment that we just had. I don't have it. They offered to send it out to me, but I vent mine. So I told them that, I would take it and test it, but I don't know that long-term I would run it. I've run in my Alien Cell a lot, to the point to where I have decided that the little foam things, I'm having to clean those things way more than what I had anticipated. So I've removed them from mine currently because it keeps like they keep stopping up. Like I'll run it for 2 or 3 days and then I got to take the fan off, clean them, dry them, put them back. We'll see. I'm hoping it don't mess the fan up. If it does, I'll go with an external fan and just gut that one. But yeah, it's a good machine. I love the speed. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the rotary, how they set that up, as well as a riser. I'm hoping they give us a powered riser. If they do that, that's going to be a big deal. Like as far as a diode laser, if it has a powered riser that, let's say, raises it up until it touches the module or whatever, that's going to be a big deal. Even if it is a manual adjust powered Z-axis or powered bed, I think that would be it would definitely be a standout feature that nobody else with a diode has right now.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to see it in person. I did watch some of Rich at Louisiana Hobby Guy. He has one in his shop. It looks kind of like very similar to the X-Tool AP2. I think it has 5 filters instead of 7 on the AP2. So if it tracks with how my experience has been with the AP2, yeah, I think it looks interesting and it looks cheaper. I don't know how long the filters last in that environment. So that would be the thing to test. So hopefully I get my hands on one and see how that does, because those are the two, or that style. The AP2 is the one that's done probably the best longevity for me. Some of the others, they work great for about 5-6 hours and then they start plugging up and slowing down. So
I am trying to roll through the comments.
Greg's asking, what's the easiest way to create a video sharing your screen and laser? I think I would like to try to do it. So yeah, you can get some software. There are a few different options, but as far as free ones, there's OBS is out there. Otherwise, Streamlabs is kind of packaged OBS. I think it's a little bit easier to configure, but it has some weird nuances to it. OBS is very much like using open source software. There's a lot of options. Maybe suffers a little bit from too many options and not necessarily user friendly, but both have a similar style. There are other ones, Bandicam and some screen recorders that will allow you to bring in a webcam on top of the screen recorder. But OBS and or Streamlabs will let you do the switching fairly easily.
Yeah, that's what I got. Like I got right here. This is all my different cameras are set up in here, and so I can go from one to the other, and even just for well, there they go. Boom, boom, boom. So I even have have it set up to where I can view my cameras and stuff. But yeah, this is StreamYard or Streamlabs, and I think me and Steve both use it a lot with a Stream Deck. You can pre-record, you can stream, you can do all kinds of stuff with it.
Yep.
And my Snagit that I use will do it. You can even stream with it. It's basically Camtasia reinvented, but it's a paid for program. It's a little more expensive.
Yeah, there are some other, one of the things, and I haven't looked into this, but like some of the other ones that are meant more for screen capture that will add in a webcam, they will also add some features. So if you're doing a lot of tutorials and people need to follow your mouse and know when you click, there are some tools that, it'll have a little highlighter over the mouse. It'll kind of flash the icon when you double click or single click. So if you're going to end up doing a lot of those tutorial type things, that's sometimes nice to invest in as well. But if you're just doing a one-off, I'd look at OBS or Streamlabs to play around with, and they both are. OBS is open source and free. Streamlabs has a free or an ultra version. So
yeah, because like my capture software, it'll actually let you like draw on the screen, and like you talking about, it'll make the pointer get really big or pulsate or whatever. But yeah, I do most everything I do with Streamlabs and StreamYard and Adobe.
Yep.
Of course, that I just realized I have over 600 hours on this Elegoo Ficta. I used it mainly to cut stock, and it's under the carport. Best $250 I spent. Yeah, that was a very basic machine, but it done a good job. Like the filter thing that they put on it that's supposedly going to filter the air, that didn't work. Like to me, that was just like that was a gimmick. But other than that, the machine functioned the way that it should. My niece, that was the machine that my niece learned how to use. Because I don't, if somebody don't know how to use a laser and they're like, I want to learn how to use a laser, I don't give them the best machine in the shop, of course. So that was one. I was like, hey, this is a basic machine, but it works. Take it, learn it, and then we'll go from there. And she learned how to do stuff with it.
Yeah, I had the same thing with mine and gave it to a friend who was just wanted to play around with it, and he's done a lot with it for some of the model airplane stuff too. So
yeah.
Jane Roach is asking, is the craft plywood from Menards giving anyone problems? I'm a newbie and learning with a long way to go. I'm trying to cut it 2 millimeter thick and it burns it, but it won't go through even after 10 runs.
What power laser is that?
Yeah, it'd be good to know a little more about the laser. What's your experience with Menards craft plywood there?
Well, my experience with the Menards craft plywood is there's no Menards down here.
All right.
I've never had it.
So I'll be honest, not every Menards store stocks the same material. And so it depends on what you've got and from where. I haven't found a lot of material there that works that well. Okay, it's the X-Tool F1. So yeah, a couple things on that. the F1 doesn't have air assist. It's the Galvo, so it's going to struggle a little bit more with cutting, but a 10-watt laser should cut through 2 to 3 millimeter thick most material, but not all plywoods are the same. And some of the cheaper plywoods have really nasty glue in it. They can even have Bondo pockets on the inside for filler. So it gets a little bit hit or miss with that stuff. If they have, now depending on what your Menards has, the one that I have, they've kind of scaled back their craft plywood, but they had some basswood. So if you can find some like 8-inch solid basswood rather than the plywood, it might be easier to get started with, because that's going to cut a little bit easier. You'll kind of figure out what's working right with your laser. I'm trying to think. Home Depot has some craft plywood packs you can purchase. Now they have one that's a little bit thicker than 1/8 inch, and then they have one that's close to 1/4 inch. That stuff is a lot better. It has more of like a poplar core that's easier to cut through, and then they have veneers. So that might be an option. You can order it from their website. Otherwise, if you have like a Michaels or a Hobby Lobby, I know they generally have a balsa and plywood and basswood section that might have some better material as well. But yeah, without, like I say, it's not all Home Depots or Menards or whatnot have the same material. Sometimes regionally they have different things, and I know ours have gotten rid of some of their lighter weight craft materials. So I haven't used a lot of that material on the laser from Menards, just because I was struggling with getting some quality stuff. Now Kia is saying Menards craft plywood has way too much glue, and that might be what you're running into. So like I say, if you can go to a craft store or a hobby shop that has like real true basswood plywood, that might be something just to kind of get it figured out and dialed in a little bit more.
Well, the good news is my engineering was correct. The bad news is right here where I put the dovetail,
Mm-hmm.
I had a little bit of a like peel up, a little like overcooling or something happened, and it drew up a little bit on me there with this PLA. I haven't used, but I was using some leftover green PLA just for prototyping because, you know. But yeah, so it actually, my measurements work. Like it comes all the way out to the edge. So the engineering part is right. It's just the printing could have been better. So I may try to go back with some PETG or some ABS and see if I can do a little better job.
You know, there's some files out there for a 3D printed jig, or it's a mold for making a silicone one.
Oh, really?
And it has holes and pegs in it.
Yeah,
I think it's out on Maker World. They have one for the big bed and the small bed. I was thinking about grabbing that and trying that out, but
I actually have some. I think I have some silicone because I bought some one time. I'm going to try to make my own molds, and I just chickened out and never did it.
Yeah, because that will the silicone it wipes off of really easy.
Yeah, it's not going to wipe off of this.
Yeah,
this is PLA. This is going to be a use it until it gets dirty and throw it away type situation.
Yeah. But yeah, the baking sheets, the silicone baking sheets have a little bit of tackiness to them, and they're fairly thin, so they don't take up too much of the space on there. That's what I've been playing with. I'm just waiting to get fresh ink and get my printer back going, and I'll probably play around a little bit more of that to see how it works in the long run. Yeah,
like I said, other than the print didn't print exactly like I wanted it to, but I printed with no supports and all that. So, but yeah, and the bed is sticky enough that it holds it still. So I was kind of curious about that too. But yeah, that's my little playing that I'm doing right now, seeing how this works.
Cool.
All right. I wish I had a little bit bigger build area, or either I guess I could shrink the size of this so that I didn't have to cut it, but it's not going to be anywhere near as big. Let's see. Yeah, it wouldn't be as big as a work area if I printed it to where it would fit on my work area there. But it is definitely doable.
Let's see here. I think we're caught up on comments, so if we missed yours, now's a good time to drop it in again because we may have scrolled past it, but hopefully we'll keep up on it. But
let's see here. My phone's blowing up. What's going on here?
ETLC is asking, hello everyone, what can I do to be able to see my laptop screen while outside at local markets? Yeah, if you're struggling to see it because of the sun, you might want to make yourself a little bit of a hood, and you can do it with just cardboard, tag board. You just want to create a little bit of like on the sides and the top, maybe tape it to it, and it'll help block out some of the sunlight, make it easier to see. Otherwise, you could always bring an extra monitor if you've got space. That's kind of nice because then you can also show the other people kind of what's going on and such. But yeah, getting a little bit of a hood to help just block the sunlight from hitting it directly is probably best. And like I say, you can take a couple manila folders or some tag board or some cardboard and just tape it together and then maybe tape it onto the laptop screen. And that should help you out a bit.
Yeah, and if you're not plugged in, another thing too is your laptop's probably cutting back your backlighting. And so either make sure your computer's plugged in or go in and override the settings and turn up the display, because Uncle Bill likes to conserve electricity. And so like most of your energy saving stuff's going to be turned on by default.
Well, and it also extends the battery life.
Yeah.
But a Boomer says you should have used orange PLA and it wouldn't have lifted like that.
Yeah, well, I did it with no support because it was a prototype and I wanted it to be quick, and it was still like a 2-hour print. One I'll probably here in just a minute slice it, and I did this one with no supports and it did fine. But like I said, it could be that roll of PLA too. I've had that roll for a long time. I don't ever use green that much, and I've moved over to basically PETG and ABS now. I'm not using as much PLA, but I got a bunch of different random colors of PLA laying around, so I'm using it for prototyping to get rid of some of my consumed work area over there.
Yeah. We got Lance Rainey checking in. Hey, all, been a while since I caught alive. Good to see you.
Thank you for stopping by.
Hope everything's going well for you. Glad you made it back. Brad is asking, have I done anything else with the F1 riser I printed? I think I might print that same one. I haven't. Like I said, it completed the other day while I was working on some things. The only thing I've noticed is the F2, my F2 anyway, doesn't quite fit in there. So I'm probably going to modify that top plate, which is nice that I don't have to redo the whole thing. It's just the top plate that I need to maybe enlarge that spot for. So I want to do that. And but I haven't actually tested out to see how it works with the RA2. So, and that's kind of the whole point of that little riser thing, is to be able to drop that in there, and you can kind of leave it set up with the RA2 and then just swap the plate and such. So hopefully I'll get some playing with that here. Like I said, this week I got to be on the road for half the week. So I don't know that this week I'll get back to it, but as I get the Falcon done and see where some of these other projects are, I'm going to be playing with that a little on the side, and definitely will follow it up with some information, whether it's a video or I'm going to try to do a few more random lives with projects. That was kind of fun yesterday. So we'll see if maybe fit it in there, doing a little playing with it, but I'll definitely let people know how it goes or if I find something better.
Cool.
And Lance is asking, do you think the F2 is a worthy upgrade over the OG F1? I think we talked about this a little bit when it came out. I don't know that it's a big enough difference that just for feature wise, if you have the F1 going to the F2, that you need to do the upgrade, but if you're doing like on-site engraving at shows and you're finding yourself too busy to keep up and you got to add one, yeah, I mean, it's going to be faster. Plus having a secondary machine is going to be great. The camera is nice, but with the framing function of the Galvos, it's not as critical. So I don't know that is needed. So I wouldn't tell someone, yeah, you absolutely have to upgrade from the F1 to the F2 because you're missing out on things. But it is nice. It is faster. It can cut faster. It can cut deeper. So there are some benefits if you're kind of at the edge of the F1's capabilities. Maybe jumping to the F2 would help with some of your projects. But you know, I wouldn't. If you're happy with it and you're not finding yourself held back by it, no, I don't think you need to upgrade. It's like David did the video the other day. You don't need, the FOMO, the fear of missing out, the wishing you had the latest gadget isn't a really good reason. It's not a very smart business reason. Now, if you got the money burning a hole in your pocket and you want to play around with it, yeah, go for it. But I would try to look for what the original one is holding you back on and see if the cost of adding the F2 or replacing it with the F2 is going to be worthwhile.
Yeah, I did a video basically comparing, what to expect or whatever. And although I like the F2, if you have a good F1, I don't know that the gains, like you said, if you're not just running that one machine constantly, I don't know that the gains are going to be that, big of a deal for you to offset the expense. Now, if you're adding a machine instead of adding an F1, you want to add an F2, I think that's I would definitely go for the F2 over the F1 if I were adding one. But yeah, it's the F1 is still a very relevant machine, especially for events. And that's just my 2 cents. I don't know a lot, but
you're lucky if you can find 2 cents anymore.
Yeah.
All right. So where was it? Lance is asking, do we have a link to the riser? Yeah, I'll drop that out there. It's a 3-piece design. So it's got the bottom plate that the RA2 jigs into. Then it's got a 3D printed riser to bring it up. And then it has a plate that sits on top of that riser to lock the F1 in place. There's a little pocket that will allow it to pass through. So then you would drop your focus below the laser. And yeah, the idea is it should allow you to work with the RA2 kind of jigged in place so it's centered and kind of good to go. And so, and he's working on a design for the RA2 Pro Deluxe kit, but he needed some measurements or something. So, but I just printed it out the other day. I couldn't tell you if it's good or bad or otherwise. I just got it finished printed and was test fitting the 2 lasers on it.
Right. So I added a brim and a 1-layer raft to it just to kind of help keep everything stuck. And we'll see how that does in the morning.
You have a modem going on over there or something?
That's that machine. I don't know if it's normal, but when you first send a job to it, it does that. It does that like just for a few seconds and then it quits.
Okay.
Yeah, Jack, I've got plenty of that the PLA on there, so I'm going to use it. If push come to shove, I'll grab my ABS. Because I've been printing a lot of stuff at ABS. This was the one of the poop shoots for it that I found on Maker World. I'm like, I'm gonna print it, and I printed it, and then I put it on there, and I'm like, wait a minute, where I got it sitting, it's kind of hard to reach around behind it and get to this. So I found another one that has like a little slide that comes out of the back, and it slides it over the side and drops it in the bucket. So I printed that one, but I got this one. And like I said, I printed it out of ABS. I just broke it. I printed it out of ABS and it worked. But yeah, I squeezed that a little hard. Hey, look, I can make a now. There we go. Now I got a pin holder. Look at that.
Jesus. Quick mod.
But yeah, I printed that one and I'm like, I don't want it no more. So I took it out and quit using it. But it's really thin. That was one thing that, I mean, I guess when they did it to try to minimize the amount of material you used, but man, it is thin. So, but yeah, we got a little pin holder over here. We'll put some pins in it now. I'll keep it from a screw bucket. It'll work for that.
So this is a kind of a multi-topic question. And so Anthony Rose asking, how did you guys start your journey and figure out cost? And if you would do it over again, what were the pitfalls you learned from? And also, did you guys get sponsors early by emailing them? So I started my journey back with the first thing I used was a friend's CNC router, and I was using it to make foam model airplanes, and then also doing some wood stuff with them. Ended up buying that machine from him when he was upgrading, and then kind of snowballed from there. After doing that I started wanting to use a laser for finer cuts. The CNC router, they have, you're using generally, I had some bits that were smaller than an 1/8 inch, but you can't get a tight square corner. And when the smaller parts I was working on model airplanes, it was just really tough to deal with a CNC router on. So started looking at lasers, started looking at K40s, honestly, because I thought, hey, for a few $100, but reading through all the pitfalls and all the upgrades and whatnot, I upped my budget to get, it was a generic eBay, but basically like an older Ohmtech Ruida based 60 watt CO2 laser. And started making things on that, and people started wanting the things I was making. I also was connected with some of the larger industry people within the model aviation hobby. And so I started working, I was the Midwest editor for a magazine called Fly RC. And so was working with some companies there, doing reviews of model aircraft stuff and equipment, but then also working with a couple companies on their R&D. I developed some instruction manuals for some of them. I actually did some development on some aircraft as well, and some testing for them. So having the laser, I was able to make parts that I needed a lot faster than sending them the files and waiting for them to ship the parts back up to me. So that kind of was the purpose and the funding for the equipment. But as far as the YouTube side of things and more of the non-model aviation stuff, I was doing that really hard and going to a lot of shows. I'd set up my booth kind of like you would for a craft fair here, and it was fun, but it was also tiring. There was a lot of inventory involved with that. It was a lot of bookkeeping. And when COVID hit and everything kind of stopped, it was kind of a nice reevaluation point for me. And at the time, I had been I'd been doing more woodworking on my own, and thought, hey, I'm going to just kind of start sharing some of the things I'm doing in my workshop. So I had a couple companies reach out to me. SPT Tubes reached out to me with the CO2 and asked, hey, would you be interested in doing a video and using our equipment to upgrade your laser? And I said yes to that. The only company that I ever reached out to myself was X-Tool. I had, it was back when it was Afiro. It was when Ortura was a different company name. They had reached out to me about like their 2 and their 5 watt lasers. And I was like, I've got a 60 watt CO2. Why do I want that? But a friend of mine actually asked me about the X-Tool D1 10 watt and said, hey, what do you think about this laser? And I'm like, I don't know. And knowing that some of the companies had reached out to me in the past, I thought, hey, why not just try? So I sent an email off to them, and they said, thanks, but no thanks. But I stuck with it. I told them a little more about what I was thinking and that it wasn't going to be a one and done thing that you see on a lot of channels. But that's the only one that I actually reached out to and said, hey, I'd like to work with your stuff. Can we do something? The rest of them have just come from me putting out content with my own gear and some of the things that were provided to me. And people started noticing and reaching out to me. So since then, yeah, I still do the model aviation stuff, but it's really just a hobby now. And I do more of this. I do more business to business stuff and some customization things for people.
Well, mine actually started with a sawmill and doing woodworking stuff. And I bought a laser because I wanted to be able to do, just take some of the wood that I was cutting with the sawmill and make stuff like charcuterie boards. Mostly at the time was like charcuterie boards and cutting boards. And so I bought a laser to do that with. And then I started getting into doing other little things and making stuff and making boxes and stuff like that. And started getting a few small jobs, and then a few jobs turned into even more jobs. And I'm over here with a 10-watt X-Tool D1 laser with like makeshift stuff. Like I didn't have a good enclosure. I was just roughing it, and didn't have heat in my shop out here. This was an open air shop. I mean, it was something else. And then things started getting busier and busier, and it got to where I was out here every night until like midnight trying to get stuff done. But I'm sitting here watching this 10-watt laser make 4 passes to cut through 1/4-inch material. And I'm like, oh, this is not getting it. And so I went on X-Tool's website and I ordered my second laser from them. And then I had the 10-watt and the 20-watt. And like, I was actually able to do stuff then and get stuff turned out. And so I started doing tumblers for local companies and stuff like that for like giveaways and Christmas stuff. And it started getting bigger and bigger. And along this time, I was playing around with YouTube and just posting videos in Facebook groups, basically. And the video started getting more and more views until the point to where one day YouTube's like, hey, we want to pay you. And I was like, what? Of course, my wife made fun of me. And I've got a video if y'all want to see the video, if you're interested in it. But I've got actually 2 videos. If you go to my content and type the keyword started, like started, STARTED, it'll only return 2 videos. One of them is how I started my business, and the other one is how I started a YouTube channel. And it gives you the whole story. Like, and even my wife, Brandy, is involved in the one about how I started a YouTube channel because she's the one that laughed at me when I told her I was doing YouTube. She laughed, like, laughed at me. She ain't laughing no more. But no, because at the time, I mean, I was kind of joking, but I kind of was. You know how you make a joke, like, just because you don't want to, like, make yourself out to be a liar, but you really are trying, but you really don't want to act like you're trying. Yeah, it's kind of a joke of sorts, but I was kind of serious because I was trying it, but I wasn't like 100% committed to it. I was like, if it's fun, I'm enjoying myself. So, but yeah, if you go into my content, like, go to my videos and just search for started, and there's those two videos are in there. So I didn't mean to start a YouTube channel. It happened.
But yeah, the kind of like the recommendation on getting started or whatnot is don't jump into it thinking I'm going to buy a laser and make a business out of it. You want to have an idea of what you're going to be doing and maybe use that to augment it. Or, hey, I have an idea and I think a laser is what's going to bring it to life. There's too many people that jump into it and they want to do what everybody else is doing, and you're just going to be doing a race to the bottom. You want to be able to put your spin on it, and have a little bit of more of an upsell or your niche that other people aren't doing. And I showed it briefly on the live stream I did with the puppy thing. I don't know that I have one out here actually, but I started making these airplane stands with my friend and I. He helped do a lot of the development and such, and I really took it off and ran with it. That was a very unique thing that there were similar things out there, but there weren't any like that. And so I actually caught the attention of some some people in other media within the industry, and there was one Christmas it got into it. One of the Academy of Modern Aeronautics did a kind of a brief product highlight on it, and I was flooded with orders that holiday season, which was great, but that kept me very busy, and it was because it was a unique thing they couldn't get anywhere else. Versus, you know, we all have that thing like, hey, I saw this on Etsy, can you make it for me? And then there's sometimes the implication of, can you do it cheaper and whatnot? And you're like, well, no. I mean, maybe you can. Maybe it's overpriced on Etsy and such, but you got to kind of have the idea of what you want to do, that the lasers are going to be the tool to make it happen, not buy the tool and then figure out what to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And on the second part of that question, Anthony, I don't solicit products. And the reason that I don't is because if I come to you and let's say you've got an old car sitting in your front yard and I come to you and go, hey, I want to buy that car that's in your front yard. Well, I'm already at a disadvantage because you know that I want it, or I wouldn't have walked up and asked you. And so you're kind of going to be the one to set the terms of the arrangement. Whereas if you put it on Marketplace trying to sell it and I'm the buyer and I say, hey, I'm thinking about buying it. What do you want for it? Now I've got more control over the situation than you do as the seller. So I kind of go with that approach with the companies. If I reach out to them, they're going to feel like, okay, this guy really wants our product. And so we're going to make him do this, make him do that. Because I don't sign contracts and there's no expectation on behalf of the company of how my video is going to be. It depends on the product. And I tell them it depends on your product. Because when they ask me like, well, how many videos are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know. It depends on how annoying your product is. If it doesn't work better than other machines in my shop, you may never see it again, because I use my shop to make money. And so if a machine can't make money, it don't hang out here long. And not saying it's a bad machine, but it's kind of like you've got to dethrone one of these machines that's sitting here. Now, there's some machines sitting in here right now for testing. Don't look at those. But you have to dethrone one of my machines to earn a spot in here. And if you can't dethrone one of these machines, your stay is usually limited to a testing period, and then we move on to something else. So, but yeah, I don't reach out to companies for that kind of thing. I turn down lots. Like I've turned down a whole bunch lately. Even some companies that I've worked with for years, I've turned down recently because I'm trying to start up my other channel and I'm doing some stuff over there, and I'm trying to get back to doing projects. And then for some reason, this month's been kind of busy with jobs. Like I did a job today. I had a lady email me this morning or message me this morning wanting 3 name cutouts. And I'm like, hey, I'm in my shop doing some cleaning. I'll have them done in an hour. And so she came by and picked them up, So I use this to make money for my business, and I can't be hindered trying to fix somebody's problematic machines. So that's part of the reviewing thing, is sometimes you get some doozies that tend to be more headache than what they're worth. So, but no, I don't solicit. And if you want to go to my webpage, theclackshack.com, and if you go up to the top of the web page, there is, and I know Steve has the same thing or similar thing on his website as well. And I'll show you real quick. So you can go to my website right here, and up here at the top where it says product review policy, you can click that. And this is my product review policy, which is basically just kind of guidelines and gives folks an idea of what they can expect if they send me equipment. And so a lot of times when these companies reach out to me, I'll just copy this little URL right here and send it to them. Or, you can even download it right here if you want. But that basically just tells them, an idea of what to expect, as far as you're not going to tell me what to do. You're not going to, taint my opinion that, and I'm not taking money for it. Because that's just how I operate. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with getting paid to do reviews. Some people do them. That's not my thing. And kind of like what Steve said a while ago about the business thing. Me and Steve have this conversation pretty regular. You see a lot of these videos of how to take a laser and go for how to go or laser, CNC, 3D printer, insert whatever equipment You see videos where it's like how to take this and go to a 6-figure income. Okay. You will never hear me say, I can teach you how to do that. Because to me, being a business owner, being an entrepreneur of sorts, it's not for everybody. Not everybody's cut out for it. Not everybody can do it. Not everybody's willing to make the sacrifices to do what it takes. So there's no one size fits all approach to starting a business. And that's why you can go through my videos and look. Nowhere in my videos is there a title that tells you I can teach you how to start a laser business, because some people I can, some people I can't. I've got really close friends that I've tried to coach into starting businesses and growing businesses. And I can coach all I want, but if you don't do the right things, or if your personality doesn't allow you to do the things the way that I'm telling you to do them, it's not going to work for you. And that's the whole thing in a nutshell. Not everybody was put on this earth to be an NBA basketball player. And not everybody on this earth was put here to write, computer code. You have a individual set of skills. And if your skills align properly, you can, but not everybody's cut out for it. Like I had a guy here the other day that worked on an assembly line, and I'm like, dude, I could not have your job. I couldn't. I just can't, because like his job is to put an axle under a car. That's his job. Like axle under the car moves on, axle under the car moves on. And he said he does it for 8 hours a day. And I'm like, I would go crazy. I couldn't do it. And so, not everybody's cut out to run a business. Some people just can't. And that's not the popular thing. And when people try to sell you a class, they're not going to tell you that. But I'll tell you, not everybody can take that CNC over there and make a living or make money. Not everybody can do that. So that's my 2 cents, because I see it so much. Make $10,000 a month with your CNC. Okay. In 10 years, after you've been working at it for 10 years, maybe. But, don't get me started.
Fun fact, the question that's most often asked me when people meet me?
What's that?
Do you play basketball?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you probably do have certain criteria that would benefit you in basketball, but others you probably don't have.
Yeah, I really haven't played much basketball. Oddly enough, I liked baseball, and so I gave everybody a huge strike zone.
Yeah.
But ETLC is asking, just need to know, can 40-watt CO2 cut 3/4 inch wood? There's a lot of variables there. Jack hit a few.
Well,
Jack hit a few of them. It's going to depend on a number of variables. What type of lens. A lot of times the stock lens that comes with lasers are more geared towards a happy medium between engraving and cutting. But with most CO2s, you can swap out the lens for get a deeper focal length, but a wider beam, which is going to be less detailed for engravings, but better for cutting. As you mentioned, there's also the quality of the air assist, the type of the air assist. It's also the type of material. You can't, a 1/4 inch, 3/4 inch balsa wood versus oak are going to have different qualities to them, whether they're going to cut through or not. In general, probably not. You can probably get through it, but it's going to be slow. It's going to be kind of ugly. But it'll do it. And if it's a larger item, it's going to take a while. Really, to get through 3/4 inch, you're going to want a little more power than that, and you're going to want to make sure you have a deeper cutting lens to have any reasonable cut time on it. So now, if you just need to cut out like a 1/4 size circle, sure, you'll do that. It might take a couple passes to get through, but if you're cutting out a big sign and it's 3/4 inch plywood, probably not going to get through it very well. And if you do, it's going to be ugly and take a while. So,
yeah, I was cutting out some of my cardboard to make my little packing inserts. These things right here. I took most of them in the house, but I had some more boxes, and so I was while I'm out here, I'm printing or cutting these out of I recycled my cardboard boxes, keep from burning them or throwing them away. And so I was doing these, and it had been a minute since I'd cut one out. And I just happened to walk over there to load the machine back, and the edge of one of them it looked like it was red and glowing, but it wasn't flaming, and it was just turning to powder as the red went across. I was like, "Ooh, that could have been bad." But I was over here screwing the stove covers together and standing them and stuff, so I wasn't far away. But yeah, it was just sitting there like glowing red, like a cigarette or whatever, just going across there. And there was a little line of ashes where the cardboard was. But what it was I got really close to the edge of the cardboard, and I guess it just perfect fuel air mixture, and it just started that little ember. It wasn't a flame; it was just a little ember going across there.
So Chris has the comment. I've yet to see a video on how to cover your costs for a fun hobby. I'll tell you how that is you piss off all the real people, or not the real people, but the sellers trying to make money by going to the events, undercutting them just to cover your cost for materials because you don't care about profits. I've seen that with some people where they legit, they'll go to like a maker fair or a farmer's market or craft fair or whatever, and I'll see their stuff and I'm like, you know, they've got like these wood turned bowls that are like 3 for $25. I'm like, there's no way you're making back any of your money and your time. And he's like, nah, I do this for fun. I teach classes, and this is basically just to buy more blanks. And I'm like, I mean, I get you, but I get there's a guy here that probably is really upset that you're undercutting his prices.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I'll put it to you this way. My business since 2022. Now, prior to 2022, it was my hobby money. It was that she money, the money she didn't know I had. But since 2022, I have not taken any money out of my general household budget and spent towards anything having to do with my business or my shop. Like everything I've done out here in the shop has financed. And I've had positive equity, positive revenue every year. To the point to where I was able to buy that time back from my retirement, and I've done some things and invested in myself as far as like, you know, I had the time that I had to buy back from my retirement so I could retire earlier, things like that. So I'm not, you know, I ain't knocking out no 7 figures out here or nothing, but I'm able to stay out here in my shop and work and, you know, and not lose money.
You're making a solid 4-figure income.
Oh yeah, all day long. I mean, I made 3 figures today. You know,
just 2 of them were behind the decimal point. That's all.
No, I made over $100 today. I made 3 figures. I think I made like $100 and something today. Let's see what I made on Etsy. How much I make on Etsy today? So you know, I mean, it's $92 on Etsy. So I mean, I ain't done terrible, but it's the thing about it is people want to tell you they can tell you how to get rich quick because that's what people are going to click on because people want to get rich quick. Nobody's going to click on a video that says start your hobby today and you'll be making money in 3 years. Nobody's going to click on that. But if I do a video to where I'm standing there holding money or whatever, and I'm like, you know, standing in front of my Bentley and I'm like, start your leisure business today and be making 100,000 by the end of the year, people might click that. They're going to be disappointed when they try to use whatever's in the video, but you know, it's different. I see a lot of the stuff, and I maybe I'm just too honest or too much of a purist, but I just can't make videos that give you the illusion of that if I can't deliver on it. I can tell you how to get good results on a tumbler. I can tell you that all day long. You know, I can tell you how to run a speed and power test. I can tell you how to design a lot of stuff, but there are things that I can't give you the secret recipe to. So, you know, and people that claim they can, I'm suspicious of, because if they tell you I can show you how to start an 8-figure business and they ask you 0 questions about how many bankruptcies you've had or whatever, then they're obviously not telling you the truth.
Caveman's asking, who has the best how-to videos for creating boxes on the laser? I have one or two showing some of the like I think I did one on boxes.py. There are a lot of box generators out there that you can use, which make that process pretty easy. So the good ones will kind of give you a few different examples of boxes, whether it's a enclosed box, a lidded box, inside dimension versus outside dimension and such. And you can input your material thickness. You can even, in good ones, put in your kerf offset, things like that. And it'll spit out a vector file for you. So if you search boxes on my YouTube channel, you'll come up with that video. So I would definitely look for those rather than necessarily start to design your own, because you might as well use a tool that's going to do the bulk of the base design for you. And then from there, you can play around with modifying it. So,
yeah. The box generators are definitely your friend. Once you learn the measuring, how to measure it correctly, like you said, and click the little box that says inside measurement instead of outside. Those are cool.
One of the best things to do for that is make sure you have a caliper to measure your actual thickness of your material. Quarter-inch material is never quarter-inch. Well, very rarely. Same thing with eighth inch. It's rarely spot on that thickness. You can generally, there are some places where you can, if you order 3 mil, it's going to be 3 mil or 1/8 inch. But if you're buying random quarter-inch at Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, it's probably like 0.20 to possibly bigger than 0.25 inch. So yeah, and measure more in one spot. Get a good solid measurement on it. So
yeah. Jack in the shop says I got into lasers so I could pay off my house this year. Well, congratulations, Jack.
He got into lasers like 10 years ago so he could pay off his house this year, right?
Yeah. Like I said, I don't do just lasers. I do, like I said, I do a lot of woodworking. I do a lot of laser stuff. I mean, I got my little wall over there, like it's slap covered right now with stuff that I've got to get out. Matter of fact, let me see if you can see it in that camera. Yeah, you can see my CNC is being used as a table currently. Somebody said something about it the other day. Is all I use it for is a table. And I'm like, no, but it gets used for a table a lot. And you can see those names that are, I had them laying around, but I was like, you know what? I got all these gold colored names. I'm just going to put some thumbtacks in that piece of plywood there and hang them up. But yeah, I delivered most everything Friday. I had to take Rogue to the vet, and she got to meet May and some other people. We dropped off a bunch of stuff, but yeah. But I do other stuff other than just lasers, but not like those stove covers do have laser engraving on them and stuff like that. But lasers are a part of most everything that I do. But I do I don't just depend on Etsy or just depend on YouTube money or affiliate sales, or I have it like all kinds of little sticks in the fire. Burning my string at both ends, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah, Anthony says I work an assembly line 70 hours a week, but wanting to buy my time back. Yeah, I never worked on an assembly line. I just don't know that I'd been good at it. I hate, like, when I do repetitious stuff in the shop, I don't like it. Like, because I do everything. I like the puzzle part of it. Like, I like the designing, the figuring it out, the problem solving. That's the fun part to me most days. Some days it's frustrating, but I can't. I don't want to make 10,000 of the same thing.
So Radu is asking, is there a government site or some such where you can search business names to see if available?
Yep.
So that's going to be per state. And for here in Minnesota, it's with the Secretary of State. They have a business search, so you can do an entity search and see by keyword or by name, and it'll give you information if it's registered with the state or not. Now, you may want to do a broader one across, more states per se, but generally you're registering within your state to begin with. So that's where you would want to start. Different state governments might do it slightly different, but most of them will have some sort of business entity lookup tool.
Yeah, that's where I got mine. And little known fact, when I first got my business stuff set up, believe it or not, there was the Clack Shack, and it was either in Oregon or Washington State, but I'm wanting to say it had their registration of the name was either expiring or had expired or something. But you may also, if you're wanting to do it seriously these days, like if you're wanting to really start your business and you're wanting to use the internet to advertise and so forth, you may want to make sure also before you go secure it with the state. If you're planning on doing like online stuff, you may want to check and see what domains are available, because it kind of sucks. Like if you have a business name and then when you go to get your domain name, it's not there. And so when people are looking for you these days, they're going to go to, VintageWorkshop.com. And if VintageWorkshop.com is not you, then that can be a bit of a hindrance on the, national level or international level.
That is actually not my website, so don't go there.
Whatever it is. But so,
sorry.
Yeah.
So shorter is better in that realm. If you got the Clack Shack of Central Alabama located south of Clanton and down the road and around the border.com, someone's going to mistype that.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to keep it simple. But you want to make sure that those are available if internet presence is a thing that you're planning on doing, and most businesses these days it is in just some shape, form, or fashion. So, but yeah. Oh, Burncar Print said he got into 3D printing, lasers, CNC, and 3D printing because of us too.
Well, my apologies.
I'm sorry. It's Steve's fault.
Hey, I just try to tell people how to use the machines.
Yeah, that's the way I am.
And
my thing too is I understand not everybody's in the situation that I'm in, but I'm not out here trying to be the next, Elon Musk or whatever. I'm not. That's not me. I want to have fun, enjoy myself, relax, and make things. Now, I don't want to lose money doing that by no means, because I don't have it to lose. So in order for me to buy cool toys and have cool toys, I got to make money. And so that's where I am. Now that I'm retired, there are other things that I want to do, like the trip to Texas. We hadn't mentioned that this live, but I put money back so that I can treat myself to going to the next level maker event and stuff like that, or so that I can buy another CNC if I decide to or whatever. But I'm not out here trying to build a dynasty. I just want to have a good time, enjoy myself, and not have to fret.
But there are also people who do this as a hobby, and I know it's funny. I mean, I dealt with this at the model aviation thing, because people that don't understand it as a hobby, and you just get pure enjoyment. I mean, it kind of goes back to the guy selling the turned bulls at the farmer's market. People will spend crazy amounts of money on their hobbies because it's what they find enjoyment in. It's what relaxes them. And there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to go into this figuring out how you're going to make money, as long as you're budgeting appropriately for it as your hobby as well too. So, that's where I try to lean in on here's how to use these machines. Here's how to have fun with these machines. Here's a few ideas maybe to make money with these machines. But, I want people, whether they're trying to make money with it or they're trying to make gifts with it or they're just trying to have fun in their workshop, I just want to try to be a resource to help you be more confident about that. Maybe make a better informed decision about spending your money on it, and to enjoy it. Make money, don't make money, I don't care. I want you to feel good about being able to use the machine.
Yeah. And like I said, if you enjoy it, and it's something that you pick up the habit and you get pretty good at it, you can make money at it. How much you make that's a big variable. It depends on a lot of things. The guy that's in New York City is going to be totally different than the guy that's out in Oklahoma somewhere. I mean, markets research, all that kind of thing is just totally different.
Yeah.
What's up, Cody? Cadence Manufacturing in the house. Speaking of people who took their hobby and took it to like full-time, like status, Cody over at Cadence Manufacturing. So if you're not using Jenny bits, then don't tell Cody. But if you are using Jenny bits, have fun with them.
Just not too much fun, because then you'll be like Clark and you'll be breaking things.
You broke the last one.
Okay, we're
I haven't broke one since you broke that one.
One for how many?
I broke quite a few, but most of it was just trying things that, simple mistakes like forgetting to set the Z or forgetting to turn the spindle on, those type things. So, don't turn your spindle on, the bit will break.
Sometimes the best way to teach people is to be an example of what not to do.
Hey, I got that covered. I got that covered. All right, so it is 9 o'clock, guys. Like I said, if you hadn't already, check out the Facebook page. I haven't been posting as much in there lately. I've been trying to keep an eye on it, make sure the robots and the spammers hadn't took over. But yeah, we've got the laser engraving community, which is technically, I guess maybe we need to like put a waiver down there that it's not all about lasers these days. Maybe we should rename it, rebrand it. Maybe we'll do a poll and see if everybody wants to rebrand it, because it has gotten to be, which most of us that do lasers have moved from lasers into CNCs and then into 3D printing, and now we got UV printing. So it's like me and Brandy were saying the other day, I'm like, I don't consider myself a laser shop per se. Like I do woodworking. I got a sawmill. I do, 3D printing now. I do laser engraving, laser cutting, but now I'm doing UV print. I mean, I'm just kind of like, I just make things. So, because when people ask me, they're like, what kind of stuff do you do? I just pretty much, you pick it off of Etsy and show me a picture of it. I can probably make it. There's a really good chance if it's on Etsy, I can make it. Like it has evolved way beyond what I had imagined back in the days of no insulation in my shop.
Put some extra props there.
Hey, you're welcome, Cody. You will.
But yeah, no, it's I don't know. When people ask what I do or what my channel's about or things like that, it's not just lasers. It's not that. I've sometimes gone towards like calling myself more of a modern maker, because there are some people who are very traditionalists. They don't have the appreciation for the computer controlled machines as much as a hand plane and a handsaw. There's nothing wrong with that, but I just don't like it when people get down on the other, like mine's better than the other. It's like you're creating stuff and you're enjoying it, whatever tools. I mean, if that's a kid building stuff in Minecraft and being creative, awesome.
At the end of the day, if you're not a beaver or a really large rodent, you're really not doing woodworking the natural way anyway. I mean, we all, other than beavers, have to have tools to do woodworking. As far as I know, beavers are one of the few animals that can like cut holes in trees and not have to have a tool. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some dogs out here that will do it and break their teeth, but traditionally,
I bet if you tried, you could.
I can't. Like my gene that controls good teeth, I miss that one. Like here in the South, that's that we have, like, if it wasn't for my dentist, I probably wouldn't have any right now. I'm serious. It's bad.
Right. But anyway, yeah, so maybe we'll need to do a poll on our Facebook group. So if you're on Facebook and want to join in on that group, but also, like I said, we each have our own pages there, Instagram. I'm most active on YouTube here, but I've been trying to make an honest effort to put more behind the scenes stuff out on at least my Facebook page. So if you want to catch some sneak previews there or just kind of help support that, I'd always appreciate that as well. So
yeah. I see some folks talking about there's out of so many people. Y'all keep in mind now we're streaming from like multiple platforms, Facebook, YouTube. Well, I'm not streaming to Facebook anymore, but YouTube, Twitch, X, all these different ones. So a lot of the numbers that you see may not be an exact reflection of what's going on. So, but yeah, but we appreciate it. So thanks for stopping by. And we ended multi-use of crowd comparison. Hey, it is what it is. I mean, you know, I hear people, oh, that's not real woodworking. It's a tool. It's no different than a knife, like a hammer. It's just a more advanced tool. That's all it is.
I mean, there are differences, but I can appreciate a hand carved sign, and I can appreciate someone who does a really good job with a CNC carved sign. I don't feel like there needs to be a this is better than that, you know.
Yeah. And like I said, if you, because there are people that can do some magical things with like lathes and stuff like that, but at the same time, you know, there's things that they can't. It's just one of those. It's one of those little, I guess, caveats. Kind of like a lot of folks, you know, don't like change or, you know, advancement of tools or whatever.
Yep. There's a question on where is the Facebook pages.
There should be links in the description of the video wherever you're watching from to the Laser Engraver community page. Like I said, we might need to rename that. I don't know. It's because we have kind of gotten down a rabbit hole with a whole bunch of different disciplines. Maybe we could just call it makers, Sunday night makers, Sunday night, you know, whatever. I mean, the live really isn't the live is not the Sunday night laser show. So I think we're good with the live being like it is, but the Facebook group does kind of strictly say lasers. So we might need to look at that. We might need to retool that.
So I put links to mine, Clax, and then the laser engraving community in the chat, just in case you're watching on a platform that doesn't let you get to the description easily, or you want to jump from his to mine or whatnot. But yeah, follow us there if you're on Facebook and want. But I also have links on my channel and page to like my Instagram page and such. But most active between YouTube and Facebook for myself right now. So
hey, don't forget to plug your other channel now.
Well, I mean, all this talk about beavers, I may, you know, I've got another channel that I just kind of started the framework for, and I'm waiting for Minnesota to winter's
come out of hibernation.
Yeah, it looks nice in winter because the snow's out on things and it's nice, and then it kind of goes through this period of blah because.
Are you saying Minnesota's got a little case of bedhead right now?
Yeah, it's a little bit of bedhead. Yeah, I've gone out with cameras on the bike and a few things, and I just kind of like the video just kind of makes it look like we're in some sort of like blighted area of apocalypse or something because you know there's no leaves on the trees.
On today's tour of Chernobyl.
Yeah, so, but I do plan to share a little bit more there of just some of the stuff I get into outdoors, out biking, hiking, camping, cool places I visit. I was actually planning with my business trip this week to maybe do some camping on the backside of that, but I looked at the forecast up in the Fargo, Moorhead, North Central area, and it's gone from being mild to possibly snowing, and that just doesn't sound fun for being out in, areas that aren't green or anything. So I may stop at a couple areas that are kind of fun and unique and interesting to me. And if it's not raining, might share some stuff there. But if you want to see some of that, what I would get into on the side, that's out there as well. It's called Vintari Outdoors, and I should have prepped with a link. And Clack's not helping me as I'm talking.
I'm sorry. I thought you had it.
I'm getting it. But yeah, hopefully just some fun stuff there to share there as well. It'll branch out into some fun technology. Like I can talk a little bit more about, some of the solar generator, portable power stations, and some camping gear, maybe the e-bike stuff there. But it'll mostly be some fun. So
yeah. And if you haven't saw yet, I have my second channel, which is basically everything outside of the shop. I moved my beekeeping stuff over there because it just really wasn't for a lot of the people that watch the shop channel. So if it doesn't pertain to the shop and tools in some pretty good connectivity, I moved everything over to the other channel. Like the robot lawnmower stuff, you're going to still see a little bit of that sprinkled in here because I think the robot lawnmower being the technology, and a lot of us guys that do CNCs, 3D printing and all that, we're the guys that are into the technologies. There'll be some of it on the shop channel, but it's going to be heavier over on the other channel, the Clayleys. And I dropped the link to that over here. But that's, like gardening and so forth. And I've actually got the grass that I planted around my storm shelters finally coming up. I got like little baby grass about that tall, like all over the place. All of that kind of stuff is going to be on that channel more so in the shop because I do actually go outside and do stuff from time to time. So, because unlike our friends from up north, I've been working on my tan. It's hard to tell. This light doesn't pick up my tan very well. But yeah. So there you go.
All right.
Watch those channels. Ventari's Outdoors. I hear there's some Bigfoot's been spotted in some parks nearby up there. So go check that out.
Yeah.
And I could use some watch hours over on the Clayleys channel if you got, some free time and, I could use the watch hours. I'm at almost 9,000 subscribers on that channel, but watch hours is kicking butt. I don't get it. I don't know. It's like because I've never actually tried to start a YouTube channel. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but yeah, this one's been tough. But anyway, I see Klondike Sean is in here.
Yeah.
Hello. He said Sasquatch, 2 thumbs ups. But anyway, that's it. That's all I got. Steve, anything?
No, good. We'll see you all next week. Hopefully I'll get that review video out. I'll be on the road for a little bit this week and back at it next weekend.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be working with a Eufy mate this week because I got my jobs pushed out, and so I'm gonna be playing with that this week. Stay tuned and watch for some cool pictures. So, till next time, guys.
We'll see you.